The bill comes in July, and it is $300. It comes again in August, and it is $340. You run that machine from June to September because the alternative is a house you cannot sleep in, and every summer it costs more than the summer before. And then, one afternoon, the power goes out for 6 hours, and inside 2 of them, you understand something uncomfortable. Your house cannot cool itself, not even a little. Left alone, it does nothing but get hotter. Meanwhile, there are gray brick courtyard houses in Beijing that have stood through 300 summers in a city where July runs past 100 degrees, and the people inside them slept through it. No machine, no bill. And most of what kept them cool was done in the 10 minutes before the sun came up.
My name is Shufen.
I grew up going in and out of houses like that. A paved courtyard, a grapevine on a frame over the middle of it. The good rooms facing in and almost nothing facing the street. Nobody who lived there ever called what they did a method. It was simply what summer was. The mats went up in June. The windows opened at 1 hour and were shut at another. And somebody would call across the courtyard if you got it wrong. And the house held. Now, your house is nothing like that house. I know this. You have drywall and a 2-car garage and a big west-facing slider onto the deck. And there is no courtyard, and there never will be. But here is the thing that took me years to understand. Almost none of what those houses did depends on the building. It depends on the order of the day, and on which side of the glass you put things, and on knowing where the heat is actually coming from. All of that moves into an American house without changing a single wall, so I am going to give you the whole thing, translated. Everything today works in a 2-story colonial in Ohio, a ranch house in Texas, a 3rd-floor apartment where you are not allowed to touch anything. And most of it is free, and the rest of it is under $40 at the hardware store. I am going to show you 3 things. The mistake you make every single morning that heats your own house on purpose. The one place shade actually works, which is almost certainly not where you are putting it. And the room above your head that is at 140 degrees right now, that nobody ever tells you about. But first you have to know how the heat gets in, because it does not come through 1 door, it comes through 3. And you have spent every summer of your life standing at the wrong one with a curtain in your hand. The first door is the sun through your glass. Sunlight comes through a window as light, and light does not feel hot. It lands on your floor, your couch, your coffee table, and there it turns into heat. And heat does not travel back out through glass the way light traveled in. It is caught. This is why a car in a parking lot becomes an oven while the air outside is merely warm. Your west-facing slider is doing exactly the same thing to your living room every single afternoon, quietly, all summer. The second door is the hot air itself, walking straight in through anything you have left open. A window, a door, a gap. And the third door is the slowest and the meanest. Your walls, your roof, your attic, your floor. They soak up heat all day, they hold it, and they let it back out at night, into the rooms, while you are trying to sleep. This is why the upstairs bedroom is still hot at midnight when the air outside has gone cool. You are not sleeping in hot air. You are sleeping underneath a hot building that has been charging since 10 in the morning. 3 doors. Sun through the glass, hot air through the openings, heat stored in the house itself. Everything done in a Chinese summer was aimed at one of those 3, and once you can name them, you will never again waste effort in the wrong place. So now, the mistake. And this is the one that should genuinely bother you, because you do it out of good sense. You wake up, the house feels stuffy, and you open the windows to let some fresh air in at 10 in the morning. At noon. At 2 in the afternoon when it is hottest, because that is when the house feels worst. And you have just opened the second door wide and invited the heat inside. Air only cools you if it is cooler than you are. Once the air outside is above your skin temperature, a breeze is not cooling you. It is a hot hand on your face. It is the same air that comes out of a hairdryer. You are not airing the house, you are filling it. And then at 8 in the evening, when the air outside has finally gone soft and cool and would actually do you some good, the windows are shut, because by then you have given up on the day. You have it backwards. Everybody has it backwards. In China, the rule runs the other way, and every household in the country knows it without anybody ever having to teach it. Open at dusk, close at dawn. The windows come open in the evening when the outside air drops below the inside air, and they stay open all night, and the cool pours in and does two jobs at once. It cools the air, which you feel right away, and more importantly, it pulls the stored heat back out of your drywall and your floors and your furniture, which is what you will feel tomorrow afternoon. Then, before the sun clears the roofline, you go around and shut them, everyone, and you seal that house up like a jar and keep last night inside it. The hour matters, and it is earlier than you think. In most of the country, it lands somewhere between 6 and 8 in the morning. The moment the outside air is warmer than the inside air, every open window is working against you. $15 gets you an indoor-outdoor thermometer at any hardware store. Put the probe outside a shaded window, watch it for 2 mornings, and where the 2 numbers cross is your hour. It is the same hour every summer. Once you know it, you never think about it again. Now, here is how you make that night air do 10 times the work, and this part is entirely American, and it is the best $40 in this whole video. 2 box fans, not one. 1 fan in an upstairs window on the leeward side, turned around so it is blowing air out of the house, and 1 on the ground floor at the far end on the shaded side, pulling air in. The upstairs fan throws the hot air out and drops the pressure inside, and the cool night air comes rushing in downstairs to replace it, and the whole house scours itself out in about 90 minutes instead of drifting all night. If you have a whole house fan in the ceiling of your hallway, you already own the expensive version of this, and most people have never once switched it on. Open windows first, then run it. Never run it with the house shut. 2 things people ask me about this: screens and safety. You have screens, so the bugs are not an argument. And if you will not leave a ground floor window open all night, and I do not blame you, then use the upstairs windows only. Put the exhaust fan at the top of the stairs and crack the ground floor windows just the 4 inches most sash locks allow. It works nearly as well, and you sleep. Do the dawn and dusk rule and nothing else, and the house sits 5 or 6 degrees under the street all afternoon on the hottest day of the year with the machine switched off. That is not small. 5 degrees is the whole difference between a room you sit in and a room you flee, between sleeping and lying awake at 2 in the morning, and it costs you 2 minutes a day and not 1 cent. Now the first door, and this is where almost every household in this country spends money, in exactly the wrong place. You have curtains, heavy ones, blackout ones maybe, the ones the store told you were energy efficient. You pull them across on a hot afternoon and you feel like you have done something. You have done very little, and here is why. The curtain is on the inside of the glass. The sunlight has already come through the window and turned into heat before it ever reaches that curtain. The heat is already in the room. Your beautiful blackout curtain is now a warm panel standing in your living room radiating at you, and it cannot send that heat back out because the glass will not let it go. You built the trap and then you put the bait behind it. Shade the outside of the glass, not the inside. Say it twice because it is the whole thing. Shade outside the glass, not inside it. Stop the sun before it ever touches the window, and you keep roughly 8 parts in 10 of that heat out of your house. Stop it after with a curtain and you keep 2 or 3. Same sun, same window. The only difference is which side of the glass the shade is on, and that difference is worth more than any machine you can buy. In China, this is the reed mat, hung from a hook above the opening on the outside, rolled down in June and rolled up in September. Walk any old lane in any province and they are still there over doorways and windows, all summer long, costing a few coins and lasting years. Here is what that is in your language: an exterior solar screen, which is a dark mesh in a light frame that clips over the outside of the window and stops 70 or 80% of the sun before it arrives. $30 to $60 a window at the hardware store and you can still see out of it. Or a roll of shade cloth, $10 for a big piece, hung on 2 eye hooks above the window and tied off at the bottom. Or an outdoor roller shade on the porch, or a retractable awning if you have money, or a patio umbrella cranked over and angled at the slider, which is not elegant, but it is free and it works today. Renting? Nobody said it has to be permanent. 2 suction hooks and a piece of shade cloth on the outside of an apartment window take 10 minutes and come down in 5. If your balcony faces the sun, 1 cheap outdoor curtain panel on a tension rod out there does more for your bedroom than every curtain you own on the inside. And do not do the whole house. Learn which windows matter. West is the one cooking you every time because the afternoon sun comes in low and level and reaches deep into the room when the house is already at its hottest. South is second. East is a mild morning and it forgives you. North you can ignore entirely. If you shade 1 wall of glass this summer, shade the west, and you will feel it that same afternoon. The other way it is done is slower and better, and if you own the ground outside that window, it is the finest trick in this whole video. In a courtyard house, the grapevine goes on a frame over the middle of the yard. It leaves out thick in May, and by July the whole yard sits in green shade all day. And then in November, every leaf falls, and the winter sun comes straight through the bare frame and warms the stones. A roof that knows what month it is. Nobody has ever built a blind that clever, and it gives you grapes on top. You can do this against a west wall for about $60. A wood or wire trellis, standing a few inches off the siding so air moves behind it, and any vine that drops its leaves in fall. Grape, wisteria, Virginia creeper, hops, scarlet runner beans if you want shade this year instead of in 3. In 2 summers, that wall stops being a radiator and starts being a green curtain that costs you nothing for the rest of your life. And it drops the temperature of the wall itself by 20 degrees or more on a sunny afternoon, now the 3rd door. And in an American house, this is the big one, and it is directly above your head, your attic. On a July afternoon, under asphalt shingles, that space runs 130, 140, sometimes 150 degrees. It is the hottest place you own by a wide margin, and you almost never go up there, and it is sitting on top of your bedroom ceilings, pressing heat down into the rooms where you sleep, all evening, long after the sun is gone. If your upstairs is always hotter than your downstairs, and you have blamed it on hot air rising, that is only half of it. The other half is that you have a furnace over your head. So go up there once, this month in the morning while it is cool. 3 things. Look at the soffit vents along the eaves and make sure insulation has not been shoved over them and blocked them, which happens constantly and stops the whole roof from breathing. Look at the ridge or gable vents and clear anything nesting in them. And look at your attic hatch, which in most houses is a thin sheet of plywood with no insulation and no weather stripping at all, sitting in the ceiling of your hallway like an open window into an oven. Weather strip it and glue a piece of rigid foam board to the back. That is $20 and half an hour, and it is the highest return of anything I will tell you today. Then the stack effect, which is what the courtyard was really for. It was never only a garden, it was a chimney. The shaded paved yard stayed cool, the rooms around it heated in the afternoon. Hot air rose out over the open middle. Cool air came in low through the shaded side to replace it, and the house breathed all day without anybody touching a thing. In the south of China, where the heat is wet, they made the same courtyard narrow and deep and called it a well, so the air had to squeeze through and moved faster. and a narrow shaded gap between two walls will pull a breeze on a dead still day when the open street will not. You have a stairwell. That is your chimney. Open low on the cool side of the house and open high at the far end, upstairs, a landing window, a skylight if you have one. The hot air at your ceiling climbs out of the high opening and drags cool air in low behind it, and the house moves on its own with nothing running. And open your interior doors, all of them, every night. A shut bedroom door in July is a small oven with a bed in it. While we are here, let me correct the thing everyone believes about ceiling fans. A ceiling fan does not cool a room. It cannot. The motor actually adds a little heat. What it does is move air across your skin so your sweat evaporates faster, which makes you feel 3 or 4 degrees cooler while you are sitting under it. Which means a fan running in an empty room is a small heater you are paying for. Turn it off when you leave. And check the little switch on the housing because a fan should push air straight down in summer, and half the fans in this country have been running backwards since somebody flipped that switch in November of some year nobody remembers. Now the water, and here I want you to listen closely because this method works beautifully in one part of this country and does nothing whatsoever in another, and nobody ever tells you which one you are living in. At dusk in a Chinese courtyard, somebody throws a bucket of water across the paving. The stones drink it, it evaporates through the evening, and evaporation carries heat away as it goes. The yard cools, and the air drifting into the rooms comes off that wet stone. A wet sheet hung across an open window does the same on a smaller scale, and the air comes through cooler than it went in. If you are in Phoenix, Denver, Albuquerque, Boise, Salt Lake, inland California, this is close to magic, and it is nearly free. Hose down the patio, the deck, the concrete on the shaded side at sunset. Hang a wet sheet in front of the window where your night air comes in. That is a swamp cooler, and you built it out of a garden hose. If you are in Houston, Atlanta, Orlando, St. Louis, anywhere the air is already thick, do not do this indoors at all. The air cannot hold more water, so nothing evaporates, so nothing cools, and all you have done is raise the damp in a room you have to sleep in, keep the water outside on the paving, upwind, and leave your indoor air alone. Here is how to tell which one you are, in 1 minute, with nothing. Wet the back of your hand and hold it up. If it goes cool fast and dries quickly, you have dry heat, and every water trick I just gave you will serve you well. If it sits there wet and clammy forever, you have humid heat, and shade and night air are your 2 strong hands instead. Do that test once, and you will know what kind of summer you own for the rest of your life. And now the part that matters most on the worst nights, because there is an evening in every summer when you do everything right and the house is still warm and you still cannot sleep. On that night you stop cooling the room and you cool the body. This is the old wisdom, and it is the piece modern people have forgotten completely. Start with what you lie on. A jersey sheet, or a heavy cotton one, holds your heat against you like a blanket you cannot take off. A woven bamboo or rattan sleeping mat does the exact opposite. It pulls heat out of you and carries it away, and it keeps doing it because the weave lets air move underneath you all night. In China, these go on the bed in June and come off in September, in every household, north and south, and have done for 1,000 years. You put it straight on top of your fitted sheet. $25 to $40 online. It rolls up under the bed in September. It lasts years, and anybody who has slept on one in August will tell you the same thing, which is that you feel it the second you lie down. Then there is the thing they call the bamboo wife. An open woven bamboo bolster, hollow, about as long as your body. You lie on your side and hold it, one arm over and one leg over, and it holds your chest and your thighs apart from each other and off the mattress, and air moves straight through the middle of it. Every place your body touches itself is a place heat is trapped. That is the whole idea. It just holds you open. Centuries old in Chinese and Korean homes, $20 or $30, and it works far better than it has any right to. And the plainest one of all, cool the places where the blood runs close to the surface. cold water over your wrists at the sink for 30 seconds, a wet washcloth on the back of your neck, your feet in a basin of cool water while you sit in the evening. Walk down any lane in China on a summer night and you will see it, old men and women on stools outside their own doors with a basin at their feet and a fan in one hand. They are not being quaint, they are cooling the blood, and the blood goes everywhere else and takes it with it. It is far faster than cooling a room, and it costs you a bowl of water. And stop making heat indoors. Your oven is the single biggest heater you own, and every hour it runs in July you are paying twice. Once to make the heat, and once to take it back out. In a Chinese summer, the cooking is done early and late, and never in the middle of the day, and the middle of the day is cold food. This is what the grill on your deck is for. This is what the slow cooker on the counter is for, and the rice cooker, and cold noodles, and everything you can make at 7 in the morning and eat at 6 at night. Run the dishwasher and the dryer after dark, or hang the laundry outside and skip the dryer altogether from June to September. The mistakes that ruin all of this are few, and everyone is avoidable. Opening the windows in the hot part of the day, forgetting to close them at dawn, putting the shade inside the glass, running one fan instead of two, leaving ceiling fans on in empty rooms, shutting the bedroom doors, wetting the air indoors in a humid climate, running the oven at 6 in the evening. That is the whole list. There are no others. If your house stays hot, it failed on one of those, and 9 times out of 10, it failed on the first 2. And now, the one caution I owe you plainly, because I would rather say it and have you not need it. Heat is not only a discomfort. Every summer it takes people quietly, and mostly it is the old ones, alone in an apartment, windows shut, nobody looking in. So if you are older or unwell or pregnant or caring for a baby or taking medication that changes how your body handles heat, do not be proud during a bad week. Go sit somewhere cooled, a library, a mall, a cooling center, and most counties open them and almost nobody knows. Drink more water than you want. And go knock on the door of the old woman down your street, because she will not call you, and she is the one this actually matters for. Everything I have taught you today carries your summer. On the 4 worst days of the year, there is no shame in the machine and no shame in an afternoon at the library either. And on the day you do run it, it will cost you a fraction of what it used to, because the house will have done most of the work before you ever touch the thermostat. Now let me say the plain thing about why your house needs this much help in the first place. For 4,000 years, every house built anywhere hot was built by people with no other option. Thick walls, small windows on the sun side, and the good rooms facing the shaded courtyard instead of the street. Deep eaves, cut long enough to keep the high summer sun off the wall, and short enough to let the low winter sun reach it, which is a calculation those builders made with a stick and a shadow and got right. A high opening for the hot air to leave by. Those were not decorations. That was the cooling system, built into the shape of the building, paid for once, then working for 300 years with no moving parts. And then air conditioning arrived, and it was cheap, and builders learned they no longer had to think. You can throw up a subdivision of thin-walled boxes with a great sheet of west-facing glass. No eave, no shade, no cross-ventilation. Identical on every lot regardless of which way the lot faces, and every one of them will be perfectly comfortable so long as a machine runs inside it forever and somebody else pays the bill every July. That somebody is you. The builder saved $4,000 once. You have been paying it back every summer since, with interest. I do not think there is a wicked man in a back room. The truth is duller and sadder than that. There is money in a machine. There is money in the power that runs it. There is money in the machine that replaces it in 12 years. There is no money at all in a piece of shade cloth on 2 hooks, or a grapevine, or shutting your windows at 7 in the morning. Nobody films a commercial for a box fan turned around backwards. No salesman knocks on the door to tell you that the windows you already own, opened at the right hour, do most of the work for free. So the knowledge stays in the old houses where it always stayed. And the bill comes in July. So here is what I would have you do this week. Tonight, Open the windows when the evening turns cool. High one end, low the other, every interior door open, and a box fan in an upstairs window blowing out. Leave it all night, then set an alarm, get up before the sun clears the roof, and shut it all. Keep the night inside. Tomorrow, find your west windows and hang something outside them. Solar screen, shade cloth on 2 hooks, an outdoor roller shade, a patio umbrella cranked over, anything at all, so long as it is on the outside of the glass. Shade outside the glass, not inside it. This weekend, go up into the attic in the morning. Clear the soffit vents and weather strip and insulate that hatch. $20, half an hour, and you will feel it upstairs the same night. Wet the back of your hand and learn what kind of heat you have. Dry, hose down the patio at sunset. Humid, leave the water alone and lean on shade and night air. Buy a bamboo mat for the bed. Put your feet in a basin of cool water in the evening. Move the cooking to the grill in the morning. And this fall, put a trellis and a grapevine on the west wall, because the best shade you will ever have takes 2 years to arrive, and then arrives every summer for the rest of your life. Tell me in the comments what state you are in and what kind of summer it is, dry or that heavy, wet kind, and which room in your house is the worst one, because it is almost always one room doing all the damage, and I can usually tell you which of the 3 doors it is letting the heat in through. And come back in a week and tell me whether the dawn and dusk rule alone changed anything, because for most of you, it will. The stories you leave will teach the next person far more than I ever could, and I read every single one. Next time, since we are on a house that looks after itself, I am going to show you the other half of this. How those same houses were kept warm through a northern winter on almost no fuel at all. Not a furnace, not a fire in every room. One old idea about where the warmth belongs and who sits nearest to it, and a bed built to hold its heat for 12 hours after the fire has gone out. That one is next.